What's up, everybody? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, represent Mocha's Cafe de Pateras, while I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Hope everybody's Friday is going good thus far. There's going to be a 1 hour upload, and then I'm going to have to shut it down. I'm supposed to be meeting some girlfriends this evening for dinner because my birthday is Sunday. So, you know, Scorpio season. So I'm just going to be able to do a part 1 for my Inmate Chroncles session. And for those of you who are not familiar with my Inmate Chroncles, I am a correctional officer at the local county jail facility within my area. And every once in a while, I do Inmate Chronicles where I cover stories of inmates that are currently incarcerated at my facility. Some have already been sentenced, and there are others who have not been sentenced as of yet. And I basically cover real life stories pertaining to inmates that are currently facing life sentences. If they're not facing life sentences, they're definitely facing some harsh, heavy criminal offenses that they're going to have to eventually have to account for. So this is, like I said, this is one of my sessions that I take very, very seriously because, again, what's up, Angela? This is part of my career. This is something that I do for a living, and it's also to bring awareness to the Black community of the issues, the underlying issues that a lot of content creators don't want to address. They want to address fuckery. They want to address celebrity gossip. You know, they don't want to talk about the issues that really, really affect the Black community. So tonight I want to do a part 1, and this is in reference to inmate Victor Mcmiller, number X916568. He's currently housed in the facility where I work. He's actually in one of my units, which means I see this inmate regularly. I see him regularly. He is actually assigned to the unit where I am assigned as an officer. So basically, we're going to talk about Mr. Victor Mcmiller. So with no further ado, I'm going to give y'all a background on this story, which means I'm going to have to share a couple of clips, you know, within my screening. So for those of you who are driving, you might just have to follow my voice and follow me as I narrate the story, because again, I'm going to be showing clips of this situation. So we're first going to discuss Mr. Victor Mcmiller. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen first so I can go ahead and make sure I'm showing the correct clips. So I want to first talk about Victor Mcmiller. Victor Mcmiller is one of the inmates at my facility. He's currently 27 years old. So as you can see, I'm getting ready to share my screen right now, sharing the story of how he ended up incarcerated to begin with. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this is the story here of Savannah man indicted on for the murder of two men only 2 days apart. So unfortunately, not only did this man commit murder for one life, he actually committed the murder of two different lives. So this is something that currently goes on a lot in the Black community. And as much as these content creators always want to address gender wars, how Black women don't care about Black men, and of course we hear that Black men don't care about Black women. We hear this gender war fuckery on a daily basis, but what a lot of Black men don't want to discuss is that there are a lot of Black men who also have a lot of hate for Black men. They only want to address Black women who have a hate for Black men. But truth be told, being a correctional officer, I see more Black men kill Black men. And that is just the reality of what we are up against in today's society. So while we want to focus on the white man doesn't care for Black men, or Black women don't care for Black men, what about Black men who don't care for Black men? What about Black men who have no remorse on taking the life of another brother? And in this case, we have Victor Mcmiller, who I stated not killed not one, but he killed two different Black men, and he killed both 2 days apart. All right. So going on to the story, a Savannah man was indicted Wednesday for the 2018 murder of Donte Chisolm and Jamall Johnson. So if he was 26 at the time, let me see, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so he's 27, 27. So he's 29 as of right now. What's up, Poetic? My sis, good to see you. Welcome to the Inmates Chronicles, y'all. I'm going to be discussing inmates that are currently in my facility and their criminal offenses. So we're going to talk about Victor Mcmiller, like I stated, who is being charged for the death of two Black men. So Victor Rashad McMillar, who was 26 at the time, faces 1 count of malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, and 1 count of aggravated assault for the shooting death of Donte Chisolm, and an additional charge of aggravated assault for wounding Chisolm's wife. The shooting happened in the 200 block of West 61st Street on November 3rd, 2018. Mcmiller was also indicted on malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault in the shooting death of Jamall Johnson 2 days after the Chisolm shooting on the 220 block of Walling Street. He was also indicted on 7 counts of possession of firearm by convicted felon in connection with the case. So what's more of a threat to Black men? Are Black women the threat to Black men? Are white men the threat to Black men? No. Black men are the biggest threat to Black men. Okay, but none of these brothers in the Black YouTube sector are going to address this. They're not going to talk about how their own brothers, how men of their own color are the biggest threat to them. Let me tell you something. It is not Black women going around here killing Black men. And we do know there are cases in which there are white men, there are, men of other races, like we have the Ahmaud Arbery situation going on where, he was murdered, by 3 white males. So we know that it does exist, but the truth of the matter is there are more Black men that are killing Black men. So Black men, your enemy is not just the Black women who wear the wigs and the weaves and these artificial false additives that y'all talk about. And it's not just the white men who y'all feel are trying to hold y'all down, trying to pin y'all down. It is your own brothers, your own men who also should be able to identify with your struggles as a black man. These are the ones that are taking you out. It's black men that are taking out other black men. And how I know is because I work at a facility with the majority of black men that are in there for murder. They are in there for murdering other black men. So out of respect, I definitely wanted to show you the picture of the black man whose life he had taken recklessly. So as you can see here, I have inmate Victor Rashad McMillar, who faces 2 different murders 2 days apart. This man killed 2 other black men. Now, the part that's very disheartening about the situation is one of the black men he took, Mr. Donte Chisolm, this gentleman here, was a very successful black man. As you can see, he took a black man off of this earth that had a purpose, that was making something of himself. Mr. Donte Chisolm is a father of 4. Not only is he a father, he's also a married man. Now, I've heard nothing but positive things about Mr. Donte Chisolm since his death in 2018. So to give y'all a little background on this situation, let me make sure I have, okay, I want to put both of these together so I can make sure when I got my clips lined up. Okay, so the story that I was told was Mr. Donte Chisolm, who you see here, him and his wife was having a dating night. They call themselves having a date night. And they were basically coming from the Coastal Empire Fair. The Coastal Empire Fair is a fair that we get here in my area at least once a year. We get the Coastal Empire Fair, which comes usually at the end of October and right in the beginning of November. So him and his wife, like any married couple, call themselves going to the fair, having a date night, away from the kids. We're just going to spend some time together. And basically, Mr. Donte Chisolm and his beautiful wife, Desiree Chisolm, as you see here in the photo, were leaving the fair and actually walking to their vehicle. They was walking to the vehicle coming back from the fair on their way home. Now keep in mind, every time this Coastal Empire Fair comes in town, it's a lot of people who go. The parking lot is very huge, and you have these thugs who take advantage because they know when it comes to these type of events, a lot of people are going to be exiting out of their cars and going to their cars, coming from their cars. So you have these thirsty thugs like Mr. Mcmiller himself, who took advantage of the situation. He's seen Mr. Chisolm and his wife walking to their vehicle, and he decided to rob this man. Okay. And the reason why he decided to rob him was because of the type of vehicle this man was driving. So I'm going to show you the vehicle that Mr. Chisolm has here. I'm trying to get a good picture of it, y'all, of his vehicle. As you can see, he has a nice truck. I'm just trying to find one with the best angle. But Mr. Victor, here we go. All right, so this is the truck that Mr. Chisolm had was driving. Him and his wife was walking to the truck, and what made inmate Mcmiller decide to target Mr. Chisolm was because of the type of vehicle that he was driving. So he automatically felt that this man had money. He knew this man had money. He knew this man was about something. Now, keep in mind, there are below the average black men who aren't doing nothing with their lives, not working, not providing, not making nothing in themselves, not providing, not taking care of their families. These type of black males will target black males like this who are successful, who have families, who have good careers. It's always the low common denominator black males who want to target the successful black males. It's sad that a black man cannot enjoy driving a nice car that he worked his ass off for. He cannot enjoy taking his wife to a good movie, or doing something nice for his family without some thug lurking around the corner. So basically, Mcmiller decided to target this man, rob him, and not only shoot him, Mr. Mcmiller here also shot Mrs. Chisolm as well. So unfortunately, when this horrific event took place, I could only imagine what was going through their minds. What couple decides to go have a date night out, and after y'all, come out your favorite restaurant, or you come from your favorite amusement park, you're walking to your car, you're getting ready to go home so you can go home to your kids, so you can get ready for work the next day, and you're not thinking in your mind that there's a thug that's watching you walk to your car, that's watching you and your wife walk to your vehicle, and he decides to rob you, not only rob you and kill you. So definitely, before I proceed with this story, my heart goes out to the Chisolms, who has definitely been affected by this horrific crime. Now, to give you a little background about Mr. Mcmiller. Mr. Mcmiller is actually one of the inmates that are currently housed in my facility. You can tell just based on hearing him talk. When I do my security checks around the facility, basically, when as a correctional officer, when you're in a unit, you have to do your security checks every 30 to 45 minutes. You walk around the facility to make sure that the inmates are not doing something inside their cells that they should not be doing. So I noticed that every time I was doing my security rounds, Mcmiller is one of those inmates where he loves to run his mouth literally all night. This dude can hold a conversation longer than 3 women. And I'm listening to him, brag about his lifestyle on the outside. I'm listening to him lie to other inmates about how fabulous his life was on the outside. He bragging about what kind of cars he has, bragging about how much money he makes, bragging about all the hoes he used to smash. But I'm listening to him tell these stories, and I'm like, dude, you are lying your ass off, because evidently you didn't have no money, you didn't have no cars, you didn't have all these women, because you took the life of a man, a family man, who was successful, who was about something. So why are you sitting up here acting like you got all this money and everything? But no, you never had money. If anything, you were up here robbing men who did have money. And you have a lot of these dudes out here, they don't want to go and make an honest living. They don't want to work. You have a lot of these men out here who do not like to work. You got men who hate to have a job. And before they go out there and hustle and get a job, they will go kill another man who is working, who is providing. So I'm up here listening to this dude, and I'm hearing him brag and talk about all the stuff he got, and it came to me. I couldn't understand for the life of me. I'm like, why does this dude run his mouth all night? He will talk all night till 3, 4 in the morning. He will talk until he talks himself to sleep. And I realized the reason why he talks so much, I believe it has everything to do with the fact he's trying to keep his mind off of the murder. The only way he cannot focus on the murder and not focus on the life he took is to keep talking and talking and talking and bragging, coming up with all these damn delusional ass stories, because he does not want to focus on the fact that he took the life of not 1 but 2 black men. Okay, so to go further into the story, I want to talk about Mr. Donte Chisolm. The man who he murdered, the man who Mr. Inmate Mcmiller killed. I want to talk more about Donte Chisolm, because like I stated, this was a black man who was about something, man. And nothing grieves my spirit more than to see a black man with a black wife living a good life, handling his business, doing the right thing. Mr. Chisolm, he came up struggling. And he was one of the black men that did not decide to make excuses for his poverty, for his struggle. He actually decided to make something of himself, to become a husband and to become a father. And from what I can see, there's been nothing but positive words stated about him. Really, being a very prominent guy who really handled his business. So, basically, when this death occurred, when Mr. Chisolm had died due to this unfortunate circumstance of this thug who took him out. Basically, this is the story. I want to give y'all a background on this. Savannah police, with the assistance of Savannah Regional Task Force, arrested Victor Mcmiller, 26, in connection with the November 3rd shooting that resulted in the death of Donte Chisolm and the wounding of his wife, Desiree Chisolm. Mcmiller has been charged with murder and aggravated assault. A Savannah father was shot and killed on Saturday night. The shooting left his wife in critical condition. Now, keep in mind, when Mcmiller decided to take the life of this man, he not only took the life of this man, he also tried to kill this man's wife. The only thing was the wife did live, did survive through the womb, but unfortunately, Mr. Chisolm succumbed to his wounds. Tonight, Darius Johnson spoke to the children and siblings, and who said it's been rough since they got that call and they never dealt with anything like this. So keep in mind, the news interviewed the children of Mr. Donte Chisolm, who is left having to grieve the death of their father. So as the story goes on, he's a great father of 4, a loving husband. He loved the Lord and he just loves family. He always put his family first. His wife meant a lot to him, and his mother did also. They knew they had to kill him because of his name and who he was and how great, how much he was loved. Now, this is what Mr. Chisolm's sister stated. Heartbreak is the best way to describe what the family is going through. Donte Chisolm was shot in the head and killed at 61st and Montgomery Streets. His wife, Desiree, was also shot, but is expected to be okay. I wake up every night screaming, Lord, please wake me up of this dream, because I pray that it's a dream and it's not. It's hard for 2 sisters as Deborah wipes away her tears as Stephanie holds her hand. He cherished his family, and I love that about him. His wife, and children. He really cherished his family. He never sold drugs. He's not a street guy. He's not some thugs. So we knew it would have to been intentionally. And the way my brother is, you're not going to take from him, because he's going to put up a fight, as he should. But for his 4 children, ages 10, 12, 14, and 15, it's an even tougher loss. It's hard because I really loved him. I just wish he could be here. But we after, I don't know what they made here. And we're going to do everything we're basically going to try to do everything he would want us to do for his children. That's basically what they stated. He never had a conflict with any violence. He handled his way as a man, a hardworking man. The last thing I told him I wanted to be was a doctor, said his 12-year-old son, Donte Chisolm. He raised us to be a man. So when I found out, I took it like a man. And I didn't cry or nothing, because I knew he was going to be in a better place. Now, these are young children who are basically, his son basically stated, my father raised me to be a man. So even when I found out my father was killed, I handled it like a man. I didn't cry. I didn't get all emotional, because my father didn't raise me to be emotional. My father raised me to be tough. If that's not awesome, I don't know what is. Then there's 15-year-old Dontasia trying to stay strong, but she's struggling with trying to figure out how to keep her family together and to be a big sister to her 3 brothers at such a young age. So basically, y'all, I'm not going to read this whole situation. Basically, his family is basically stating he was a real man. He handled his business. He was a good father. Now, I wanted to get into the inmate who killed him. Mr. Mcmiller here. Now, I went and I looked up his record because, this is all public information. As I stated, the biggest threat to black men is not black women and is not white men. The biggest threat to black men is other black men. So let me tell y'all, I looked up Mr. Mcmiller's record. And when I say this man has had numerous run-ins with the law, I can't even keep track. He's had numerous run-ins with the law since 2010. He's definitely a menace to society. And I will go to the most recent. I guess I'll go to the most recent murder. Let me see. As you can see, possession of controlled substance, possessions of tools, thus by receiving. Okay, so he's been in jail for all type of offenses such as forgery. He just always had numerous run-ins with the law, but I want to go to the main steak and potatoes hand with all the heavy criminal offenses he has committed. So here, let me go to the one in 2018. Okay, so here, as you can see, these are all of his criminal offenses. And anytime you have criminal offenses with major crimes division, basically meaning that you have committed some heavy criminal offenses. All right, so here, I'll say this was back in 2019. Look at all of these felonies. Malice murder, November 2018. Felony murder, 2018. Felony murder, 2018. Aggravated assault, November 3rd, 2018. A second aggravated assault, November 3rd, 2018. Malice murder, 2018. Felony murder, 2018. Now, okay, so kind of find out he committed 2 different murders a day apart, because the first malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, all of those murders were committed November 3rd of 2018. 2 days later, he committed another malice murder, felony murder, November 5th, 2018. So this this is a prime example. And a lot of these brothers in the black YouTube sector, they're not going to talk about how their biggest threat is other black men. These thugs, the biggest threat to a successful black man is not just gold diggers. The biggest success to successful black men is non-successful black men like this individual. Why you have these brothers that are so focused on black women in general, being a threat to their success, being a threat to their future. That these brothers are so concerned about women robbing brothers for what they have. But what about the non-successful black men? Aren't y'all not concerned that these dudes are more of a threat to you than a woman could ever be a threat? Or are we not concerned that as a black man, you can't have a nice car with rims and the latest state-of-the-art future and not have to features and not have to worry about a thirsty thug like this walking up on you with a Glock ready to take you out over a few dollars, or because he sees that you have something that he does not have because he's not man enough to goddamn work for it. He's not man enough to goddamn provide for it. To all the black men, these are your threats out here. This right here, these type of dudes are your biggest threat. So while y'all are focusing on women, gold digging, trying to get all your assets, and you're telling other men don't get married because these women out here gonna rob you and take you for everything you have, what y'all better be worried about is these thirsty thug dudes like Mr. Mcmiller who has nothing to lose. Look at him. Loser has nothing to lose. If you see all of his criminal offenses, well, what does he has to lose? Taking the life of another man. Now, as much as y'all like to preach about brothers need to stick together, there's a lot of men that are not living by this philosophy. He killed 2 black men 2 days apart. And I find this very ironic. Now, let's see what other criminal offenses Mr. Mcmiller has committed. See if I can pull this one up. Okay, it's coming up. All right, so okay, he got a lot of all of these are felony. He's definitely just a troubled walking demonic soul. Theft by receiver stolen property. So he will steal. This is one of them dudes. He will steal and rob from you in a minute. You can't even walk by this dude with a pocketbook. Possession of marijuana, possessions of tools for the commission of a felony, possession of firearm by convicted felon. Just a straight menace to society. Just a straight menace to society. Now, I'm gonna see if I can find the other man he killed as well. So I'm gonna come back to Mr. Chisolm. So as you can, like I said, as you can totally see, I don't think this is the one here. So I'll just focus on this gentleman here, because like I said, I feel he definitely, his story needs to be told more due to the fact that he's a family man and a father. So again, this is a married man who had a family, who had something going for him, who basically lost his life because of this dude here. Society's rejects, society's outcasted. And when I tell you, he has no remorse, I work in a correctional facility where I see these young men enter inside these facilities for very severe criminal offenses. And you will be surprised how they act like they're in there for vacation. When I say he is chilling, he is straight chilling. He's not acting a bit more bothered than the man on the moon that he actually killed 2 different black men. Omega, what's up, sir? No, I don't think they could be rehabilitated, especially for those who started off committing criminal offenses at such a young age. Like we have, like I stated, like with Mr. Mcmiller. Look at all his run-ins with the law. This man has been in and out the system since 2010, and he's probably been, I won't be surprised if he's a juvenile delinquent. He's probably been in and out of the prison system since he's been a youth. I don't think they just commit these crimes in their adulthood. I think he's probably been one of those individuals since he's been a youth that has committed very severe criminal offenses. So I don't think he could be rehabilitated. Not only that, Victor Mcmiller has had several write-ups within the facility. You get inmates who get rolled up for several type of offenses. You get inmates that can get rolled up for things such as not following the orders of officers, fighting other inmates, all type of things, not locking down when they're supposed to lock down. Victor Mcmiller already has a reputation within the facility. He loves to fight. He fights other inmates all the time. So it's bad enough he has not learned his lesson in the streets. he's still bringing that thug mentality into the facility where he's currently incarcerated. So a lot of these men, a lot of these black males, even when they are doing time, they're not doing their time peacefully. The same drama they have in the streets, they bring that same drama and they bring that same chaos into the jail. It never stops. Exactly. Yeah, them foreign jails is different. They're not going to play the radio with them. So again, this man committed 2 murders 2 days apart. This just goes to show you how much remorse he does not have for life. This just goes to show you how dysfunctional he is. And again, a lot of these brothers in the blacks YouTube sector, they don't talk about these type of black men that are a threat to the black community. He wasn't out here killing off doggone Ku Klux Klan or what they call them other ones, Aryans or Nazis. He's killing other black men who have done absolutely nothing wrong to him. Like I say, to black men, your biggest threat is each other, especially if you're successful. Like I said, this man was a family man. He was a family man who had children. This man could not drive his nice truck without this thug approaching him, trying to rob him for his goods that he worked hard for. And now these children are left behind having to carry the baton of their father. And the sad part is you have a lot of black males out here who are losing their fathers at the hands of other black men. Like I said, as a black woman, I'm not your enemy. I'm your enemy, but even if you feel like I'm your enemy, even if as a black man you feel like a black woman is your enemy, we may feel like your enemy, but we're not a threat. That's a difference. You may feel a black woman may be an enemy, but one thing about it, we're not a threat. Your threat is other black males such as this who have absolutely nothing going for themselves. If I'm a thug in the street because I don't want to work, I don't want to hustle to get the finer things in life, I'ma just take you for what you have. Well, and what I'm saying is that it's so many young men. It's a lot of black males that are overcrowding the correctional facilities because they cannot stay away from the streets. They cannot stay away from that lifestyle. Like I said, look at this dude's track record. He's been committing crime since 2010. And the only part I don't understand, the system always gives these dudes like this a break. They always get a break. They give them a break. They always give them a slap on the wrist. It's damn near like the system is designed to allow these men to go back out there in the world so they could finish off taking other black men down. It's almost like the system is designed to let these males go free so they could continue to exterminate other black males. That's how I'm starting to look at the system to a certain degree. Yeah. And then, and like I said, he's definitely shown that he's dysfunctional, because this guy is sitting up in the jail and acting like he didn't do anything wrong. He's up here talking like he's at a bar having a good time, talking about all the women he had back in the day. And I'm like, I'm listening to him talk about all the women he used to smash. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, you ain't gonna be smashing no women no time soon. For the time you're going to be facing, you're not going to be able to smash nobody. So I hope you enjoyed whatever little bit you did get the last time you got it. But this is truly sad. Definitely my heart goes out to the Chisolms for this very unfortunate event. So I'm also going to speak in regards to the next inmate that I have in my facility. So there's this other young man. Unfortunately, let me see if I can pull up his picture. I'm gonna stop sharing right quick. I also want to speak in regards to this other inmate that is currently also being housed at the facility. He goes by the name of Mr. Jeffrey Burton, who is also currently incarcerated, basically because he killed another young man, and he too also has a long, extensive criminal record. Now, I don't have any inmate pictures. I don't have any mug shots that I was able to get of Mr. Burton at the time. So what I had to do was I mean, if he does get the smash, a female guard, she is dumb as hell, because ain't none of them dudes up in there worth losing a whole career over. I mean, absolutely not. I mean, these dudes don't have no jobs. I mean, I don't get why female officers want to jeopardize their career and their reputation getting some penitentiary penis. I don't see the excitement in it. I don't see the benefit in it. I just don't see it. But I won't be surprised if somebody's dumb enough to do that. So we also have another story regarding Mr. George Akins, which also is a young black male who was trying to make something of himself. He was actually on the football team. He had no prior records. He was actually a young black male who was actually trying to make something of his life. He did not have any run-ins with the law. He came from a well-to-do family, and it's just very unfortunate. I'm starting to notice that the black males that are not loved or do not come from stable families, these are the ones that are basically targeting black males who are loved, who do come from stable families. So it's a very unfortunate situation too. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so I could also discuss this one as well. Let me see. So I'm gonna go on to, all right, so there's another young man who also lost his life at the hands of another black male named George Akins. Now, this right here is the young man who was murdered, and his life was taken very shortly, at a short frame in his life. He was only 15 years old. 15-year-old George Akins Jr., he was gunned down in McDonald's This happened back in 2017. Like I said, this was a young black male who came from a very well-to-do family. As you can see, he had his father in his life, had his mother in his life. He was a young man who actually was trying to make something of himself. Here they had a couple of video snippets of him playing football. So as I can say, he was one young black male who was definitely trying to do something positive with his life. And it's unfortunate that his life had to be taken short due to the fact that he had got into a verbal altercation with another male who I'm going to show by the name of Mr. Jeffrey Burton. Now this is Jeffrey Burton, who was also 15 years old at the time. As you can see by his demeanor, he seems very cocky. He seems very arrogant. I get an egotistical vibe coming from this young man who basically you can tell he definitely does not have any remorse for what he has done. Now, he is also a current inmate that is being housed at my correctional facility. He has had over 30 to 40 write-ups since he's been incarcerated. His most recent offense is now somehow, some way he's been smuggling, he's been getting drugs entered into the facility. I don't know if he has an officer doing his dirty work for him. I don't know if somebody's mailing him something, but basically he recently had an incident in which his cell was searched and he was caught. His cell had all types of what the inmates are doing now is they're drenching paper towels and some type of substance that the inmates are making coffee out of. I don't know if it's pills and they're mashing it or smashing it and diluting it into the coffee and selling it to other inmates. But he's basically involved in distributing drugs, some type of illegal substance throughout the facility. So basically he's, been wrote up numerous of times. He's been in several fights throughout the facility with numerous inmates. He currently has every bit of 15 to 20 separations from other inmates because he's basically like a terrorist. He's like a what I would like to call a pod bully. He likes to bully and challenge the weakest inmates who he feel he can conquer, who he feel he can beat. Now I notice he does not challenge inmates who are better than him, who got more stripes in the streets than he does. He does not challenge inmates who he knows he cannot beat. This is a picture of him with his father. Again, this already shows you that this is trouble in the making. To all of you who have black sons, to all of you mothers, fathers who have sons, keep in mind that when you treat your son like he's on your level, like he's a man just like you, sometimes you give them mixed signals that they don't have to be children. So when you have your black sons acting as if they are up with you, that like they are grown men like you, they will think that they can do grown men things. As you can see, he's posing in this picture with his father like he's on his father's level. He has his pants sagging, showing his boxers. He's already transitioning. He's already programming his mindset into being a thug. And as a parent, you have to realize there's nothing wrong with being cool with your child. Don't get me wrong. Me and my daughter are cool. But I also have to make her understand that she's not on my level. When you start treating your son or your daughter like they're on your level, you posing with them, or you treating them like they're grown like you, eventually they're going to think that they are. So as you can see, Burton is up here posing with his father, like he knows he's a grown man, like he's his father's age, and he's not. So it's very important that you make sure that your children are on your level. Again, in this picture, he has this cocky, egotistical demeanor, like I'm all of that. He has his shirt off, like I'm all of that. They're already making him out to be a monster. So it was only a beginning of time. Now, keep in mind, this picture is every bit of 3 to 4 years old. So already they got him thinking that he's older than what he is. So, you got to be careful as parents when you allow these children to be too damn grown, because eventually they get out of pocket. Now, let me tell you about Mr. Burton. Now, well, let me go into the story first. Let me go into the story because y'all need to know what he's incarcerated for. Savannah parents open up about teenager son's murder as community rallies. Thursday night, community members gather on a very emotional candlelight vigil in memory of 15-year-old George Akins Jr. The Windsor Forest High School student was shot and killed Saturday night near McDonald's on Abercorn Street. Jeffrey Burton, 16 at the time, is facing charges in connection with the incident. I'm going to be honest to you, the pain is indescribable, said George Akins Sr., which is the father of George Akins Jr., who was killed. Lord knows my child been in that floor in McDonald's and I couldn't see him. He was on the floor and I couldn't see him. An overwhelming crowd of family, friends, and strangers came together to honor George's legacy. Among many things, he's being remembered as a shining athlete. Little George has loved the game of football and has continued to play it, says his brother Jonathan Lee. But it's George's shining personality that has many reflecting on good times. Chloe Akins, his mother, said, I'm going to miss him bombarding his way in my room at night to kiss me and tell me good night, even when his dad says don't come back in here. So basically, George Akins had a very positive relationship with his family. You know, it's unfortunate that this was a young black man who was trying to make something of himself. And oh no, that's not the George Akins I wanted. But it's unfortunate that this was a black male, like I stated, who was trying to make something of himself. His family tried to raise him to be a productive citizen to society, and it's unfortunate that his life was taken at the hands of another young man who was already being programmed into thug. He was already being programmed into a thug. Look at how he's dressed with the pants sagging. You can basically look, you can tell the difference. You can look at this young man and tell he has no regards, no respect for himself. And here it is. You can see this young man here is dressed appropriately. He's covered. He doesn't have his shirt off. He's not looking like a thug. You can always tell the difference between a child that's being raised correctly and a child that's not being raised correctly. He's not with his pants sagging, with his shirt off. You can tell when a child is being raised like a child. Now, getting back to the inmate who killed him, which is Jeffrey Burton Jr. right here, who's currently housed in my facility, by the way. Court records show that he has had an extensive history of violence. So it was only a matter of time before this young man ended up resorting to committing an offense this severe. Jeffrey Burton, 16, is now being tried as an adult for felony murder and possession of firearm during the commission of a felony for the shooting death of George Akins Jr. Burton is not a stranger to the Chatham County juvenile system. They were able to retrieve Burton's criminal history through court documents, and it shows he has a violent past dating back to 2014. So, this young man, it was only a beginning of time. It was bound, it was going to resort to this point. Now, it says here, back in 2014, Burton had 2 counts of disrupting public school and 2 counts of fighting in a public place. Okay, then in 2015, he also had another fight disrupting public school. Then again, within the same month, he committed battery, criminal trespass, theft by criminal damage to property. Then December 19, 2015, he got charged with theft by taking. Then January 12, 2016, 2 counts of burglary in the first degree. Then July 28, 2017, after Travis stopped, he provided the officer a false name and address. Then in October 23rd, 2017, he was arrested for the murder and possession of firearm on Savannah South Side. So this just goes to show you that once you have a troubled child that starts having all type of run-ins with the law, eventually they're going to graduate and commit a crime that's way more severe and way more extreme. It continues to keep getting worse. This young man already had a history of constantly getting in fights in school. He already had been in juvenile, and this is a prime example to those of you who are parents. If you have a black son and he's not even 16 years old yet, and he's already getting into multiple fights, he's already has had numerous run-ins with the law. This is just the beginnings of your troubles. And the problem with black society is, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a minute. Well, I'll stay on this here. The problem with black society, the black community, is that young black men are being taught that masculinity is all about being a thug. There's this misconception that a lot of people who got sons, they really don't think they need to raise their sons. A lot of these black males are being left to raise themselves. It's this masculine, egotistical attitude that let a man be a man. Boys will be boys. And a lot of people are understanding it is not just girls that need training, and it's not just daughters who need to be raised and taught right from wrong. These sons, these young black males, they also need guidance. You cannot let your son come in all time of night because he's a boy. It's all right for him to be out 3, 4 in the morning. Oh, he's a boy. He can't get pregnant. It's all right for him to date have all kind of girlfriends. It's all right for him to have sex. It's all right for him to do all kind of things because he's a boy. And what a lot of parents are not understanding is your sons are not exempt from having hardships in life. If you're not raising them correctly, if you're not guiding them, you can basically create your son to become a menace to society, a nuisance to the black community. If you're not raising your son and you're not teaching him at a young age how to provide, how to get a job, how to take care of himself, he's going to go out there and fall into the alignments of the streets, thinking he has to join a gang, thinking he has to commit criminal offenses as a way to survive and hustle. These young men are the ones that are becoming a threat to society. These are the ones you got to worry about when you leave in the mall and you walk into the parking lot with your pocketbook. Even as older black men, again, the biggest threat to black men are other black men. It is black men that are killing black men. Again, these are two different black men, both who have took the lives of other black men who actually had a purpose in this world. Again, like I stated, inmate Victor Mcmiller, he took the life of a black man who was a husband, who was a father. And you know how many children around here don't have fathers, don't have black men who are married to their black mothers. He took a black man who actually was about something, who was an epitome of what a black man should be. It is successful black men like, like I stated, like Donte Chisolm, who actually served a purpose in the black community. This man was raising his kids. This man was married to a black woman, taking care of his wife, supporting his wife, providing for his family. These are who the thugs target. Do y'all ever notice thugs don't never challenge other thugs? Maybe it's just me, but do y'all notice a thug would never, rarely, ever challenge another thug? They will only challenge successful men who don't even partake in thug activities. Just like this young man here. You can look at him and tell he wasn't in no gang. He wasn't no thug. You can look at him and tell his demeanor by the way he dressed, by the way he carries himself. These are the ones these thugs are targeting. So it's sad. You can be a black mother and black father and raise your son to live right and do right. But the problem isn't that. The problem is your son is going to be exposed to other young black males who have no guidance in life, who are going to try to kill them because they got nice shoes, who are going to try to rob them because they're driving a nice car. This is what we're up against. Society as a whole is up against the troubled black youth who have no regards for life, no respect for themselves, don't have no remorse when they take the lives of other black men. And this is why it's very imperative, as black men, y'all need to be basically talking to the black youth, because you have these young black men that are coming up behind y'all in society. As y'all get old and y'all hair start getting gray, as y'all start reaching elderly, these young black men, they're coming up right behind you. And the sad part is, I have seen so many young, successful black men get murdered by black men who are lost, who are dysfunctional, who are losers, and who have basically given up. Basically, when I hear anytime I see a black man, a young black male who enters my facility for murder, for committing an offense, taking somebody's life, basically he has already given up on life. He don't feel like he has anything else to live for. The only way you're going to feel comfortable with taking the life of somebody else is you no longer value your life. You can't. There's no way in hell you can say you value your life if you can so comfortably take the life of somebody else's. And what a lot of them don't understand, and this is what I'm finding out, a lot of these young men think it's cool to murder and kill and take the lives of other black males. And then when they end up in jail, and the reality hits them, they realize this small room that's smaller than a walk-in closet with only a toilet and a bunk bed. When they realize the reality is this is where I am going to be for the rest of my life, they start acting out. I feel you, love you. I don't know what your YouTube got going on, but there's a whole lot going on. A lot of these young men, they think it's cool. They think it's street cred. He had the audacity when an officer was going to write him up the other day for him doing something he shouldn't have been doing. His thing is, I don't care what you do. I'm already in here for murder. I don't care if you write me up. You must not know about me. I'm already in here for murder. So he's actually proud that he murdered somebody. He thinks that's something to find admirable. So he's walking around the jail with his chest puffed out, thinking it's cool. Yeah, I'm a murderer. I took somebody's life. And not understanding that, hell, when you go to prison, you're going to be around other men who done took way more lives than you. So you're around here puffing your chest out because you took the life. You got one notch under your belt of murdering somebody, but you're not understanding where you're getting ready to go. It's men that got more street cred than you'll ever have. While you bragging about this one murder, you're going to go to prison where you're going to be housed with men who done committed 20, 30, 40, 50 murders, who got 20, 30 bodies under their belt. And you around here bragging about that one body you done knocked off. It's totally sad, y'all. But anyway, I'm gonna get ready to shut it down. I want to thank y'all for viewing my Inmate Chronicles Part 1. I'm gonna go ahead. I don't think I have to do a Part 2 because I had enough time to squeeze in addressing the other inmate, Jeffrey Burton, as well. So definitely, y'all, keep the victims of the families of these victims, keep them in prayer. You could only imagine. I have gone through it. I have lost a brother through street violence, through gun violence, and if you haven't experienced it already, it is one of the most detrimental things that you could ever experience, especially when you know that person was a good person. It's one thing if you kind of see it was coming, like you've been in the streets, you've been murdering people. For instance, when everybody found out Alpo Martinez got killed, nobody cared because everybody knew all the stuff he did out there. Everybody saw it coming, like, man, please, all these people you done killed, then you snitch. It's one thing you kind of see it, but when you have a loved one who you know it does not have a history of being violent, does not have a history of being a criminal, and to lose their lives at the expense of another criminal, it is very detrimental. So my heart definitely goes out to the Chisolms. My heart definitely also goes out to the Aikens, who not only, check this out, not only lost their son through murder, they lost their son. 3 months later, they also lost their daughter through a senseless violence. So they lost 2 different children within a short time frame. And I'm going to also my next Inmate Chronicles, I'm also going to mention the death of their daughter, because the female that was involved in the murder, she is also an inmate currently housed at that facility. So I'm also going to do an Inmate Chronicles on the death of their daughter, because like I said, I know one of the inmates is a female and she was involved in the murder. So, and it was a love triangle. It was a very terrible situation. So they not only lost the son, but they also lost a daughter. So I tell you, y'all, sometimes when the enemy comes in your household, sometimes he don't give you no breaks. He don't stop bringing you tragedy. He'll bring you tragedy after another tragedy after another tragedy. So definitely just be careful, stay woke to what's going on around y'all. So I appreciate everybody for viewing Inmate Chronicles. It is your girl, your diva and knowledge, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth, and I'm going to always bake you off a slice of knowledge. Y'all be blessed, and please be safe out there. These thugs are on alert. Watch your surroundings. When you leave your parking lot, be careful when you go in the hood areas. Don't leave nothing in your car. Try not to stop in certain places to get gas if you can. Just please be careful, because it's always right before the new year when you start losing loved ones, right before Thanksgiving, right before Christmas, right before the new year. That is when the spikes and deaths start increasing. So please, y'all, I want nothing happening to none of y'all out there. Watch our surroundings. And again, y'all be safe. Take care. I'm out.